I've really been kind of curious about making cultured butter. I've done this before. I did it a couple of years ago when I lived in England, but that time when I made it before, I was using yogurt to culture my butter. But this time I want to do it again, but instead of using yogurt, I want to use milk kefir. So I went out and I bought some cream that you use for like whipping. And then like my dad has also been making a lot of his own milk kefir. So he has a ton of kefir right now that I went and did some stuff with my dad today, so I took some kefir off him. So I really wanted to try making cultured butter out of kefir. So 2 ingredients. I've got my whipping cream. I went and bought basically the most expensive one. I don't know why. And some of the milk kefir that my dad made. And this should be like a really easy process, right? I just got to put the whipping cream in a container and then add the kefir to it and it should just work. Let's use this. 1 liter, and this is, I gotta say, I've recently fallen in love with these jars. I don't know what brand they are. Bormioli. And these are like the brand of jars you can get in Korea like really easily, and they've got all these different sizes. But you know the best part about this jar? I can fit my hand in there, which makes cleaning this so easy. Let's give this a quick disinfection, since I just stuck my hand in there. For anyone who hasn't made butter before, it's really easy if you have a mixer. I have a stand mixer, so this is probably gonna be like the easiest thing ever, but you basically just take whipping cream and just whip it past whipped cream, and eventually all the fats will sort of clump up together, and then those fats are butter. But by making cultured butter, we're adding a bacteria to it, a probiotic bacteria, which is basically like a culture, and it should make it like a healthier butter, tastier as well. By adding this kefir into this cream, the bacteria in the kefir is going to basically go in here and then like start growing, turn this into a more probiotic milk. What the fuck? I don't know. I don't really know what I'm talking about. All I know is add the kefir to the cream. The kefir will start growing in the cream, and then the cream should become probiotic. Maybe a little bit tangy, zesty, sour, just a bit like yogurt, but it should make a really delicious butter. And this stuff, when you buy this stuff in the stores, it can be quite expensive, but you can make it really easily. And bring that to the top. That should be enough. Just give this a little mix. Instead of closing this tight, I'm gonna put some tissue down and sort of screw it like halfway, just so it stays on. But this isn't completely airtight. I don't really know if this is gonna produce gas or not, but you know, you can never be too careful. I'm gonna put this somewhere warm. Well, to be honest, the whole house is warm right now because it's really cold outside, so I've got the heating like on full power. So I'm just gonna put this over here and we'll give it a day, maybe 2, come back to it. We'll check how this has changed. I'm expecting it to sort of like thicken up, hopefully, but we'll see how it is. If it has changed a bit, then let's just go ahead and make butter at that point. But for now, this needs to sit to let all the kefir multiply and grow and turn this into the good stuff. So I ended up actually giving this like 2 full days at room temperature, and when I looked at it today, it does kind of look like it's changed a little bit. It's become a bit chunkier, which is a good sign because kefir is sometimes chunky. Still not much smell coming off of it, but I think this is probably good to go. So let's turn this into butter. Oh yeah, that's exactly kind of what we're looking for. And yeah, near the bottom, it's starting to smell a bit more cheesy, which is good. Now that I think about it, maybe giving this a mix halfway through would have helped a bit to sort of make this turn into kefir a bit more like evenly, but I think this is good to go. Let's just do it like this. Probably could give it a couple more days and it would turn the whole thing into like a big block of cheese. What I will do is take some of this and save it in a jar so I can use it to make a new batch. Don't need a lot, just a tiny bit. And I'll keep this in the fridge. This next step, I am gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna use a stand mixer because that'll just make my life a billion times easier. Plus, I have one, so why not use it? But you don't have to use one. You can also use an electric handheld whisk, or of course you can do it by hand, but if you're gonna do it by hand, you're a bit crazy because this is gonna take a long time to do by hand. Ooh, spraying everywhere. All those big chunks. I'm gonna use the whisk attachment because we're basically gonna turn this into whipped cream and then just keep it going, and then keep it going, and then keep it going, and then it should eventually turn into butter. At least that's how it's supposed to go. So that happened exactly how I planned it to happen. There was some parts where this machine was struggling, but that's just because this KitchenAid's not very good. So you can see it's all clumped together, right? That's all butter. And all that liquid that's left over is buttermilk. Ooh, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Scoozy. Good girl. Gooey, do you want some butter? Where is my cheesecloth? Ooh, that smells really good. And I just want to squeeze all this liquid out. And that down there is our cultured buttermilk. I probably could have extracted a bit more butter out of there. Maybe I can give it another round in the mixer and see if we can get some more butter out of that. I just tried to see if any more butter was gonna come out of this, but no more butter is coming out of this. So this is all just a nice cultured creamy buttermilk that I can use for, I don't know, anything like pancakes and stuff. Maybe I'll put it in some bread and see how that tastes. There are some specks of butter in there, but it should be fine. And I might actually make a bread out of this, make a loaf. See how thick that still is. It's gonna be good. Smells a bit cheesy, smells really creamy. Oh, it's gonna be good. So we need to clean off the rest of the buttermilk off of the butter. So I've got some cold water here, because this is quite warm right now. So it's falling apart pretty easily, and it's got quite a lot of buttercream still in there. Buttercream, buttermilk. Cool, we need to lower this temperature. And all we gotta do is just start massaging this. You can see how white that water is turning already because of all that buttermilk that's trapped inside the butter. I gotta say, this butter is really light and fluffy at the moment. I'm gonna replace this water. The reason we wanna get rid of all this buttermilk though is because the butter won't go bad itself very quickly at all. But if there's any buttermilk left in there, that could go rancid pretty quickly. So we wanna get rid of all that buttermilk. And now I wanna get rid of all that water. So I'm just gonna massage this a bit just to get rid of any water pockets that might be inside. This is basically just butter right now, but I'm gonna make this salted butter. So I've got some of the finest salt that I have. I don't want anything too coarse because it won't really dissolve very well and you'll get little bites of salt in there. So I'm just gonna grab some fine sea salt. I'm gonna do 2 pinches. That smells so much better than regular butter. It's almost like, smells like it's cream as well. Almost lightly cheesy, sweet and creamy. This is gonna be a really good butter. Okay, I think that's well and truly mixed now. And I need to put this in a container. Let me see. I wanna give this to some friends as a gift as well. So let me get something I can give to someone. I want to try and minimize air bubbles in here. For my friend. The rest of this is quite soft right now, so it's going to be a bit difficult to shape. So I'm going to put this in the fridge for a bit to make it a bit harder so that I can shape it into a log to get that classic butter log shape. This is just parchment paper, which I think is probably the best thing for doing this with. And this is solidified quite a bit now, so I'm just gonna start using this to shape this butter. I'm gonna do this almost sort of like a seaweed rice roll. Rolling this up. There's a stick of butter. This isn't completely perfectly buttermilk free, so I'm gonna wanna keep this in the fridge just to stop it from going bad so quickly. Let's try this homemade cultured butter. It actually tastes so much more like butter than regular butter. That is amazing. This bread that I made is pretty good as well. Definitely worth trying if you've got access to milk kefir. If not, you can use yogurt as well. I've used yogurt too, and it worked just as well.